Hi, I'm Sarah.
And I'm Chantele. And we are getting to talking about the finale of Australian Survivor.
It's here. We made it. I'm excited to talk about it. But first, if you're new to this channel, please click subscribe and give this video a thumbs up.
This season a thumbs up.
Oh, please. The whole season deserves a thumbs up.
Oh.
I didn't warn anyone about this video. I thought it was on your channel. And so I don't even know if anyone's going to show up. I feel so bad.
Well, I could make a post while we're chit-chatting.
Yeah. Y'all, I've got thoughts, I've got opinions. I have to say sorry for your loss, Chantele.
Oh, you know what? I have to say that it didn't sting as much as I thought it was going to sting.
Oh, that's good to hear.
And I think it's because he took it so well. You know what I mean? Like, I feel like how it happened, it wasn't like in a nasty way. Like, it just like, it felt like it felt right.
Mm-hmm.
And the way that he even responded with his vote, it just made it, for me, it made it okay because he was so happy to give her the win if he wasn't going to have it. So as much as like I thought that he deserved to win, and it's still, even in my opinion, like the whole tribal council, a lot of it from his perspective anyways, and his questioning was like, hey, what did you guys do that didn't have to me like that I wasn't a part of? So it still didn't really take away from the fact that he was such a dominant force in the whole season. But he wasn't the winner. George wasn't the winner of this particular season, but I do think the winner was a worthy one. And I wasn't sure if I was going to be able to say that.
Right. I feel like the final tribal was still very much about George, which was kind of cool for him and his fans, although he's probably like, I'd rather have been sitting there and winning. But, you know.
Well, I mean, a lot of people make comparisons to Russell Hantz and, you know, these best players that never win. And it's, you know, if they're too villainous, they're not able to get to the end and actually win the game. And so maybe there is more similarities than I was ever really giving any credit to.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I'm so glad that some of you guys made it. I just did a tweet and a Discord notification. So hopefully we'll have some people joining us here slowly. Excuse me. But we are also going to say congratulations to Liz. Obviously, we'll get there. We'll talk about it when we get there.
Okay. Fine.
I can't say that I'm like riding high like you seem to be.
I mean, I just watched it, and I watched it coming from being spoiled. So maybe that's also why it didn't burn as much.
That's right.
Is because spoiled. I went into the finale already knowing what was going down. So I had saved, like, I was like, okay, I'm going to watch both episodes on the plane. I have 10 hours of like time to kill. I'll watch these episodes. And this time it was Shannon that spoiled me. It was Shannon this time. And I was like, I thought Shannon was muted. I thought she's muted right now. And it was just a notification that said, congratulations.
Yeah. Well, Liz is going to take it unanimously here, and she did an amazing job at Final Tribal, but we're going to start at episode 23. We see Liz very unhappy with George, and we see George is not so concerned with Liz being salty.
George, I mean, it was his weak spot, I think, is the fact that he thinks that people are going to get over things a lot more quickly than they actually do. I mean, Liz does in the past say that she's just going to fake it and like pretend like she's over it. And the fact that doesn't even cross George's mind, that maybe she's just pretending like she's not salty, like is just wild to me, because I'm like, if someone burned me, I'd be like, oh, no, it's okay. It's fine. I'm like, but I'm going to get you. Like, I would still be burning it on the inside, but smiling on the outside. So the fact that he didn't even consider the fact that she could be faking getting over it or getting over the things that he's done to her, I think is surprising, because he's so smart.
Yeah. But I will say that I feel like that is one of Liz's strengths, because we saw that Liz has the ability to be really mad at you and let you know about it, right?
Mhm.
She'll tell you how she feels about you at times. And the fact that we saw her on multiple occasions be very upset with George and know that she could not deal with that then, that she had to pretend that everything was okay and that she still needed to play the game with him. And I do feel like, I'll say it's a winning move, but I do feel like that was a great adjustment that she made.
Absolutely. She she's good at just like sucking it in and playing nice, playing ball, whatever you want to call it. I
Yeah.
don't know if I could do it in the moment. Like I
Yeah.
think that I could. Like I say,
Right.
I'm like, oh yeah, I'll be able to. But I don't know. Like if somebody pisses me off, my mom always says you don't really hide much with your face. So like, I don't know if my
Right.
face would be able to hide it. So
Yeah.
her face, or her resting bitch face that Shawnee loves, it worked for her this season.
It did. She made it work. Day 45 is the next day here. We see Liz putting her fury aside, and she
Hmm.
says she needs George in her hand. I thought that was an interesting phrase, and at the time I was like, is he in your
I wasn't sure. I wasn't sure. But when I'd watched this episode, I did know the outcome. So
hand? Right.
I was looking at both of these episodes, like what were the editors putting in there as little
Yeah.
Easter eggs. It's so frustrating when things are in the future, because I'm like, I would have loved to have gone on the journey of just like knowing this. And so when I was watching, I was just kind of like, how do we get here? How do we get
Right.
here?
Well, that is interesting. I was not spoiled. So I was on this journey, and I was not coming at a place that Liz is a guaranteed win here, right? Um, we see George admitting that he did change his mind at that tribal when Nina was speaking, and what she was saying made her a great contender to sit on that jury.
And I believe him. I don't think that
Yeah,
he was lying there.
no, I agree.
And so I was thinking, I'm like, okay, so maybe Liz is going to use that to tell Matt that George was about to go against him, and that like I
Mhm.
was trying to figure out how do we get here? Are you okay? Do you need a lozenge?
Yeah, just a little choky. Um, George says if he that he will win if he gets to the end. Then we're getting a little sound bites here, right? So George is going to win if he gets to the end. We see Jerry talking about his payback against the heroes is now complete with Nina. And then we see Liz saying she's going to put her body on that line, and then nothing from that.
I don't know. Nothing from that. With the George part or the Jerry part of it, I was like, this is how they're trying to spin it. Like, I mean, I did think at one point that Jerry could have a winning story, but now
Yeah.
they're making it seem like he's the hero slayer, and I'm like, I don't think of you as that, Jerry. I don't think of you as the hero slayer. And you did go along with votes that took out the heroes, and you were against them, but like, I wouldn't give you the title of hero slayer.
I
Personally.
agree. I'm not giving Jerry many titles, and except a couple unflattering ones.
One
But
starting with an M potentially and ends with an
uh-huh.
ist.
Mhm.
Hmm.
Exactly. But this was a good reminder that the perspective or the through line of his game was just revenge.
Yeah.
And that does make sense. It does line up with Nina needing to leave. Certain people needed to leave to make him happy and feel good about his journey. He's not the slayer of anything. He didn't do any of this. He tended fire, like Nina told us. But he was so focused on that revenge that I was like, okay, yeah, you know what? You did get payback against all of those heroes. And so you can say, well done to that. You were a part of that. And I think that's about as far as you're going to go
Yeah, but
there.
it is quite curious that Matt didn't get any sort of my game is, or this is what I'm here to do, and like not even like I'm doing it
Nothing.
for my family, like nothing.
Right. I mean, like, he's got a pregnant wife back home. Like, people love that stuff. Just throw that in, right? The fact that he got nothing, I mean, I definitely noted it, but I didn't realize how much they were saying with Matt getting nothing at this point.
Maybe he just doesn't have good confessionals or
Right?
good like way to phrase what he's
Yeah.
done in the game.
I
And
mean,
so
he
they're
did
probably
have
just
a
like,
couple in the whole series, but, like, I guess that was it.
yeah.
That's really, oh gosh. Okay, poor Matt. Immunity. Such dramatic music coming in here.
It's so good.
Liz is the last woman standing,
hmm
and George is the last returner standing.
I mean, I thought that was really quite fitting. Obviously, in my dream world, it would have been just two villains standing at the end. Like that would be what I would
Mm.
like to have seen personally, because like I was just team villains this whole time. But like, yeah, I love the fact that those were the last two of like the last woman standing. I think she's a great representation for that. And like last returning standing, how could it be George? He should have been gone first. So pretty cool stuff.
Well, good point. How shoulda, but I was like, yeah, he crafted it this way. Jonathan, this is by his design. He's the last person, last returner standing. That's how you want to sit at the end, I think.
Absolutely.
So this is when Jonathan's gonna be like, not immunity, guys.
Remember, we were trying to figure out, like, I feel like it's going to be a
Yeah.
final three because they're giving
Right.
George the best chance of getting to the end to win. And we were right about that. And we were right about there must be a way to make that happen, but how we didn't know.
Right.
But this is it.
Yeah, and I mean, there's definitely, we can talk through this twist. Not everyone loved it, but I do appreciate that it was this instead of a let's fake someone's immune, let's go to a
Mhm.
tribal, let's pretend we're voting someone out. Oh, twist, you're not voting someone out, or whatever. However, they were going to twist this up to get a final three. At least we kind of know ahead of time, although they don't fully know at this point. We just know it's not immunity. They're going to get an extra vote. And I was like, oh, this is bad for Liz. This is not good.
Yeah. I mean, I obviously knew what was going to happen.
Yeah.
And so I was like, okay, so I guess then Matt's gonna win the extra vote and vote out. I was trying to figure out what was gonna happen, obviously.
Yeah, I'm thinking there's no way Liz can play one extra vote and it help her. When I'm looking at numbers at this point, I'm like, who can actually win an extra vote and it make a difference, right? We're really got 3 versus 1 right now. And if they're not going to give Liz a chance to be immune, I'm thinking she's dead in the water at this point. Yeah.
For sure. I mean, she felt that in that moment.
Yeah.
She's like,
right?
This is a do or die moment.
She is not happy. They have to do a lot for this challenge. They're swimming, they're shooting balls, there's a puzzle, they're throwing sandbags. This was quite the complex individual immunity. Well,
and like watching it, I didn't like how Liz and George for the most part didn't seem to be able to do that first part of it where they had to throw the balls up into the trough on the ledge. And I'm like, shouldn't it be height adjusted or something? Because like a taller man is going to have an easier time to do that. It's just facts. And so
I think they're all about the same height though.
You think? I don't know. I feel like Matt's taller for sure. And definitely has
really? I mean, definitely is built differently. And I mean, upper arm is difficult for women in general.
Sure.
I don't know what happened to George's shoulders. I heard they were amazing. So, but Matt is going to take an early lead and just kind of keep it. Like you said, Liz is struggling to throw that ball. George and Liz are going to eventually get those
at the
balls.
Exact same time. I thought it was cool. I was like, I like that moment. And George was like, we got it at the same time, Liz.
Yeah.
It's cute.
She's like, shut up. I am so mad that I can't get this. But yeah, so they're going to move forward. But Matt is like on to the last phase at this point and not really tense. Matt is going to win this one and take it.
Yeah. So I just felt it was very underwhelming, especially when he
Mhm.
pulled so far ahead. Like, wasn't he on, like, the final part when they were still
Yeah.
trying to, get the
I
ball on the
think when they
ledge?
moved, yeah,
And then, like,
exactly.
seeing poor Liz underneath that crawl thing,
Oh,
she's like, "I'm claustrophobic," and just, like, she's just, like, dragging herself up, like like, that
yeah.
didn't seem fun at all.
No, that seemed
Um,
really hard for individual. Like, that seemed much more like a group
yeah.
tribe type
Mhm.
challenge.
Mhm.
But at this point, I'm like, how does Matt, like, what's Matt gonna do? And then
Right.
Jonathan is like, actually, you're voting to remove a jury member. So, everybody, we are safe. It is going to be a final three. You're all still here at this moment. We're going to get rid of a jury member.
I actually didn't mind this twist, for the fact that, like, I did wanna see them all kinda there together. Because, like, if they decided to gang up on George and then it would just be final 3 and then final 2 with those 3, I don't know how excited I would have been. So, I thought that was a pretty interesting way to have a non-elimination, you know? Like, I thought it was a little bit different. We haven't seen that, well, we've seen people taking away jury votes before, but it was just done in a
Right.
little bit different of way.
Yeah, I don't mind this. We've seen it before. I'm not totally thrown by getting rid of a jury member. I do think it stinks. I would hate to be on the jury and then they remove me
It's
at
so
the last
sad.
minute. I think that would be equally as hard as getting voted out of the game. Like,
It'd
that's
be I think it'd be worse to
awful.
voting out before jury. Yeah, pre-jury
Yeah.
vote.
Oh, it's just horrible.
I mean, the only cool thing about it, I guess, is that, like, you will be a stat. Like, who's
Yeah.
the only person that didn't, voted out of jury and whatever, you know? So,
Yeah.
it's stat, but I'd be pissed.
But yeah, I agree. Like, this is a fine way to keep these four in right now. Let's get rid of a jury member. And now we just get to see a little bit of strategy play out because they do need to figure out who they want to get rid of here. And of course, George has a plan. And he's going to get Liz on board pretty quickly to steer the vote towards Simon.
Were you mad? You're like, "How
I was
dare
like, George,
you?"
you're so obsessed with my man. Stop it. Living rent free in your head. Okay.
I mean, I get his point. Like, he's. I get that it has to be Simon, and Liz, I think, agreed. I think, like, Liz didn't want Simon on the jury out of everybody else, like, probably
Yeah.
the least. And so I got it, but I was wondering though why they were being so obvious with who they actually wanted to be the vote. Because, like,
Yeah.
you kind of had to play it because not everybody's going to want you to get your way, right? So I don't know. I felt like they could have maybe finessed a little bit how they were pitching it, or like pitch a couple people and then gave pros and cons for the other people as to why those people would have been better for them to be voting out. Like, why is that better for Matt to vote Simon to not be a vote? Like, Matt doesn't know. So tell him, maybe
Yeah.
make up something. Same with
Yeah.
Jerry. Like, Jerry doesn't, like, what, Simon's not that bad for my vote, but it's
Right.
always really good to take it off for Liz and George. Like, I would just do that just to screw them over at this point.
Right. Yeah. No, I agree. I mean, the way that George and Liz were like, "Oh, Simon doesn't even deserve to be
That I think was
on the
unfair.
jury."
Yeah.
Like, I don't think that they necessarily believed that. I think that was the way they thought they were finessing it. That was the way they made it seem like
Right.
it's not just good for us, right? Right? Nobody thinks he deserves to be, well, Simon. I think that's what they were trying, but it was just so not a
It's not
good
enough.
sell. But also, I have to say, back to your point about, like, I definitely get George going this route because Simon is a bit of a wild card on how you might think he wouldn't vote for George, but I actually think Simon would have voted for George. I think this was a mistake on George's part.
Yeah, I thought that Simon would vote for George because he kind of was giving him props when he was
Yeah.
leaving. Um, so yeah, and I don't particularly find Simon to be that influential.
No, exactly.
So I
He's
guess
gonna
they just are assuming that he would vote Bros over, like, George and Shawnee, or sorry, and
yeah,
Liz.
yeah.
But I agree, though. I agree that, like, I didn't know why Simon was so threatening.
Yeah, I definitely think it would be a great move for Liz. Odds were low that Simon was going to vote for Liz, I thought. But I didn't think that for George. But anyway, they want Simon, whatever. I love that in this group conversation, Matt is like saying nothing. He's like super quiet. And Jerry's like, well, let me throw out some other names. How about Nina? Because she's a woman. And I think that the women are probably all going to vote for a woman.
You think about all of them there together, and I'm like, oh my gosh. I mean,
like,
it's true in general that potentially, a lot of times like people are like, we wanted to see a balanced numbers in the jury so that if that comes to play, that a woman wants to support another woman in the final, fine. But like, I think it's the fact that Jerry wasn't even recognizing that any of the women that are in the jury are strategic at all, and that they would probably vote for the best gameplay. It was just a little bit distasteful, because not with this group. This group wasn't just going to vote for a woman because a woman was sitting there. I felt that majority of people were going to vote for the best player.
I mean, I do like that Liz was right there and she was like, Jerry?
Yeah, I was like, hey.
What? So at least they could kind of like squash that becoming a big festering point. But you already said it, Jerry. Now we're going to get a little bit of Matt strategy.
Right.
And
I was like, what happened? What did he do?
Matt made a move, you guys. Matt said, I know what George is doing, and I'm not going to go along with it. I want Shawnee off of the jury because I don't want to sit next to George in a final three. And I will sit next to Liz then, and she's a locked-in vote for Liz. This is true. And this is a move that Matt is making.
Good. I mean, good on him. Like, I think it's right that he should be like, you know what? That's a person that will never vote for me sitting next to Liz in the game. Wait, what? Are you baffled that he did something?
This came up 0 times in Final Tribal.
Oh, right.
This is a move Matt made. I'm going to point out Matt's moves because at this point, I thought Matt is surging at the end. This is very good strategy.
Yes.
And he makes it happen. We'll talk through it. But I'm just making a point here.
Right. Well,
that apparently Matt did not.
Maybe he didn't. I was like, I'm just wondering why he didn't pull that out, because like I was thinking of like what were all his moves that he had made, and obviously he didn't think of any. But is it because
I needed to write his final tribal? Like, this blows my mind.
Put the name down. Like I'm wondering why he didn't take any credit for that.
Okay, well, we're going to talk about that in a minute, but at this point, when we get there, he's making this first pitch to George, and George is like, no, it's going to be Simon, and Matt's like, no. So he goes to Jerry and he explains the situation to Jerry of like, we can't take George to final three. We have to end up with Liz, which of course like rocks Jerry's head. But Matt's explaining like we really do need to vote out Shawnee from the jury at this point.
And it was good that Matt is trying to do something independent of George's influence and what George wants in this game. And so, yes, that's like, this is what you need to do, especially at this point in the game. But yeah, I already knew the outcome. So it's hard for me to speculate how I should have thought about things.
Well, so, George is going to kind of mention it to Liz. She's obviously like, no, that can't happen. We can't let that happen. Jerry's going to play this off like he's thinking about it. And I do genuinely think he has to think about all this stuff because going against George is like a no-no in his book. But again, Matt and Jerry are going to talk about like, who do you beat at final three, Liz or George? Like, you have to think about this. And, they said something about George is a hate vote, Liz is a love vote. I did not understand what that meant at that time. I still don't understand what that means.
I don't know. Maybe that people will be like, "Oh, you got me." Like that's a hate vote, and like, "Oh, we want you to win." That's a love vote. I
don't know. But we're going to go into this tribal with this sort of like, where's Jerry really sitting? Matt is straight up lying to George about like, yeah, it's going to be Simon. But we know that Matt is not going to vote out Simon. He's going to vote out Shawnee.
Yeah, I felt that Matt was going to, I felt he was going to get his way here. Because I just thought that I felt that even though Jerry and George are really tight, Matt was with Jerry from the day one, and I just felt that there was just like a hair more loyalty. And George had broken Jerry's trust a little bit with that whole Nina in the pen situation. That I think that Matt was going to be able to sway him here with this particular vote.
Yeah, especially if we know that Jerry had a final two with Matt. There is a part of Jerry that knows you don't sit next to George at the end. So even though Jerry's like, we keep George, we have to keep him to a point. Mm-hmm. And so the fact that we saw Matt sort of explaining how the end game works, I agree. I thought like Jerry might be leaning towards making this happen. But during this tribal, George is... Oh, yeah, go ahead.
Well, I was going to say, like, I wonder if maybe the reason why Jerry was more so considering siding with Matt is because he knew that later he was going to fall on his sword. Because it's like maybe he'd already had resigned to knowing that he wasn't going to be able to win the game. And so maybe he was trying to give the best chance for Matt.
Maybe.
It just popped in my head right now. I have no idea if that's what was going on with him, but that could be why he he wasn't being self-interested, because he could have maybe pushed for Nina. You know what I mean?
To get Nina off the jury? Yeah. Okay. Well, George is kind of keeping his eye on Jerry during this tribal. He's checking in with him. And Jerry is going to whisper over to George, look at those women up there in that row together. We got to break up those women.
I know.
And
really problematic.
Yeah. And George, of course, is like, but Liz isn't going to be in the final three, which is the right response from George. But Jerry had the right response of like, but Liz can win her way. It's not like someone's turning on you, George. Like Liz can win her way.
And then he's like, she won't. I was like, in my head, I was like, well, I know she does, or must.
It's very, very possible. And so we do see Jerry, not that he's like being blatant, but he kind of says like, is it okay to agree to disagree on this one? Which is their dynamic is very interesting, right? Matt's straight up lying. And Jerry is like trying to massage the situation of like, is it cool if we just vote differently?
And I mean, I guess because he has that really strict loyalty, and he holds himself to this like such a high regard on like how he's with his friends, and when his word is his bond, and if you turn on me, I'm gonna come for you. And so like I think that it was probably a big moral dilemma for him to be like, oh my God, I am going against my brother, my friend. And like, so I think he's just trying to ease the blow and ease his own guilt. Because after it happens, you see him with his hands in his head, or head in his hands, like pretty upset with himself.
So we see Liz voting Simon. She wants Simon off the jury.
Of course.
Then we see Matt voting Shawnee twice because he has that extra vote. And then we see George vote Shawnee. How did you feel about seeing George?
I was pissed, actually. I was, because I'm like, because I was trying to think of all these reasons as to like what happens to make George at least not be sitting in the final three. I'm like, what could have happened? I'm like, and I think that this was probably the nail in the coffin for Liz's trust. And so the fact that he blatantly went against Liz and stuck with the boys in this particular vote when he didn't need to, like if Jerry went that way, they're gonna get the Shawnee thing anyways. But the fact that George wanted to save face here with Jerry over saving face with Liz, when Jerry knew that George was going to be voting Simon, so he didn't, in my opinion, need to save face there. I think that he should have kept Liz happy with this one and loyal with this one. I think that this could have been the last thing to be like, know what, you screwed me over too many times. I'm not going to honor our friendship anymore, or like whatever, our working relationship.
Yeah. I think the reason he did it was for Simon's vote in the end.
I did have that thought too. Actually, you're right.
I'm not sure if it's saving face for Jerry, maybe a little bit, but I think he knew Simon was going to now be sitting on that jury. And so he's got to do whatever he can to try to get Simon's vote. If this is like one last slap in Simon's face and he definitely doesn't get Simon's vote sitting on that jury, that is more of a concern for him. So I think that was his motivation. But I agree. It's like, how many times can you screw over Shawnee and Liz? Like, how many times? And you think that you get no consequences for that? Like, that's you're walking a tightrope here, because you haven't screwed over Jerry and Matt at all. It's always Liz and Shawnee.
Absolutely. And like, that's a little bit I think unfair in their relationship, that like, oh, he's willing to screw over the women but not willing to screw over the men, which is a little bit frustrating as well. So yeah, I agree that. And like, I did have that thought as well, with like, oh, I guess he just doesn't want it to look like he was potentially coming for Simon, so Simon would potentially give him his vote in the end. Yeah.
So we're gonna see Shawnee get up
so graciously.
Oh, of course. She does everything so graciously. This was really hard to watch. Like, I'm devastated she's not on the jury. I'm devastated.
Absolutely. She would have had a great question. And I guess it's really interesting that she had, I don't know if it was a soundbite or a confessional, where she said, I take out my revenge with my jury vote.
Yes. I wanted to see it, although it was going to work out really well for them in the end.
It does.
I wish she had been there to celebrate. Like, then I was like, oh, she's out here to see it all go down. Her protege, everything she taught her, paid off. But in this moment, I really loved the move on Matt. Again, I will stress, this was Matt's move. He forced basically George's hand at this point. He convinced Jerry to come over. He got Shawnee out to fix the end game in his favor, and it worked. So good job, Matt. But also, I was gutted that Shawnee left at this point.
Yes, and I don't know if it was in the episode or it was in the jury villa, but like, she was like, I knew it was going to be me. It had to be me. Like, that was the best decision. She was expecting it. So she had a feeling that, because she's like, no matter what, I was voting for Liz, no matter who she was sitting next to. And they all knew that. So she expected to be in that position.
Yeah. I mean, I think half that jury.
And Nina was also really worried when I saw the jury villa about this.
I feel like Haley would be like, oh, shoot, I'm a winner, one of the greats. They're going to get me. Nina's like, they're mad at me. They hate me. They're going to take me out. Like, I think Simon was like, they're going to take me out. Like, I think half of them were like, they're going to take me out. But okay, let's move on to the finale. Here we go. Day 46. We're going to start with some sound bites from everyone. Yada, 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 whatever. Let's get to final immunity. Our loved ones are going to come in. And how much do we love that Cara is there for George?
Love that Cara was there for George. And I know that you are one of your soft spots is a little bit of these loved one visits, right? You get twinkly eyed or no? Sorry. Okay.
Wait, what? Me?
I thought that was the only time you ever sometimes feel anything. No, I'm wrong. Wrong person. Well, anyways, I don't usually feel anything.
It's nice.
I usually don't care about the loved one visits, but this one I actually got a little bit emotional for. Not for George, but for when Liz's partner came out. I was like, there was something really sweet about it. Like, I think because we see Liz so often be really stoic and like kind of have that, intense look about her. And then she's just such a ooey gooey softie when she sees her partner. And so, I don't know. It got me all tearing up. So it started my tears at the beginning of this episode.
Oh, well, that's nice. Yeah, I mean, I do like to see loved ones come in for these last challenge that Australia does it this way. I think that's a really nice thing. And I do think it really helped Liz. Again, I wasn't spoiled. And so here I am very worried for Liz. I feel like these types of challenges that sort of bring in the pain have been harder for her. They've been harder for her to push through these. And so I really felt like Matt had the upper hand here. But yeah, Daniel, Liz's boyfriend, is here, and he turns out to be very verbally supportive. I think that was really helpful. We see Matt's wife, Kirsty, I believe is her name. Her bump was so small. I was like, I feel like she should be 9 months pregnant right now because Australia is so long. But it's really not that long.
How long? Well, I guess she was like around 3 months when they left?
I guess. So she's now only like 4 months, you know?
Yeah, like, or maybe 5 months. And 5 months, sometimes people don't show. They don't pop till 7. But like, I was like, I was just thinking of like, did he already have a baby?
Yes, I was like, she gave birth already? I feel like it's 9 months of Australian Survivor. No, I really was like expecting some like heavily pregnant woman to like crawl over these rocks.
And I was like, like not being able to fly kind of pregnant. Yeah.
Yes.
I was like, she's coming. And I was like, oh, she doesn't even look pregnant at all.
He's like, oh, look at your little bump. I was like, I can't even see her
Yeah,
bump.
with your baggy dress.
Okay, we are up on this torture stick with our arms back. We've got spikes that are going to come and
Jonathan
get us.
Loved those spikes, huh?
Oh, yeah. So did Liz, apparently. She kept asking for more.
Well, speaking of that, I watched a couple of interviews that she did after the fact, and she said the reason why she kept being like, give it more, crank it, Jonathan, crank it, is because she knew she's really flexible and that she's able to contort her body in certain ways, and so she wanted it to be at maximum discomfort for longer, so because she thought that she might be able to outlast people when it was more uncomfortable. So that's why she kept on wanting it to go, because she knew that she was going to be okay, and she thought that it would be better to get them in an uncomfortable position faster so that she could just outlast them.
Well, I did not know that she was going to be okay, but I do think she was like, let's just try to get through this and like
get it over with.
Get to the point where we're all suffering, and then we'll start dropping, which is not a bad philosophy. Like, who wants to be up there for 10 hours?
Yeah, it was like just 4.5 or whatever it was.
Yeah. Jerry is going to slip off at 1 hour and 5 minutes. Yikes, that's already too long for me.
Yeah, you don't think you'd last 1 hour and 5?
I don't know. I actually would like to try it because
you'd like to. I'm just kidding.
I would. I'd like to see how long I can do
me
it.
Too.
But especially if it's a final immunity, you really are putting up with a lot more than you're.
Absolutely. I mean, I do love like endurance challenges where it's like you go through all different stages of like it probably your arm starts hurting and then your arm falls asleep and then it hurts again, and like just going, like it's really becomes a game of focus and a game of like overcoming your own beliefs of what you're capable of. And so yeah, I would like to test my endurance in those ways, but I wouldn't like to actually do this challenge. It'd be so painful.
No. Oh, it
but I would do it.
Horrible. Yeah.
For $500,000, I will try this challenge.
That's what I'm saying. But like, we need the motivation. If we just set it up in our backyard,
like,
we wouldn't hang on.
Okay, I don't need to do
that for 4.5 hours. Yeah, exactly. At 2 hours and 20, so 2 hours, he does 24 centimeters of spikes. At 3 hours, he does 28 centimeters of spikes. And at 3 hours and 50 minutes, I think it was 50, George came down.
I listened again at that part. I was like 15 or 50. I wrote down 50. So
okay.
Go George.
George did great. Right? There's those shoulders we heard about. So we're down to Matt and Liz, which is really what we assumed was going to happen. Although watching George do it, I was like, is George going to win this?
I would have liked to think that. What I really was thinking, I'm like, oh boy, and George is open at this point. Like, I don't even know if he's going to sit in the final tribal, because I wasn't sure if he lost just because people were going to be bitter or if he was going to be out of the game. And I was like,
right.
And then when he was up there for so long, I was like, maybe he loses in the final again.
Mm-hmm.
And then when he came down, I was like, I don't think he's going to make the final tribal.
Mm-hmm. Well, Matt, 4 hours in, Liz is like, we got to wrap this up. Jonathan, get all those spikes out. So he does up it to 32 centimeters of spike. George and Jerry are going to do a little chitty chat here. George is like, I got to make sure Jerry knows that we all have to stick together and vote out Liz.
Mm-hmm.
Right then.
And I was like I was listening and I was like watching like I think Kara looked over and I was like, can people hear him? And like, what if like Liz's loved one says something to Liz? And like, I was like, shh.
Not even just the like, if I were Liz way over, like she can't hear what he's saying. But if I saw George get up and go to Jerry, I'd be like, I am never dropping. Like, that's just motivation. You guys are talking while I'm up here. I know y'all are a threesome. Like, I'm not dropping. Like, I just thought that was bad timing. But Daniel is like, don't you drop, Liz. You got that. Like, he was so verbal. Like verbally supportive, and yes. I really do think that helped. She was.
It did help because at one point he does that scream, and she's like, "Do it again, Jonathan," or something, and she's like, "You really want it, Matt? Do you want it?" Matt's like he's like begrudgingly, "Yeah, okay," and like cranks it to the final crank.
And I do think Matt's hand just like slips. I think it was like going numb. It doesn't look like a big fall or a readjustment. Even it's just like
even a bit like a twitch. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like he was like, oh man.
Right, because we
kind of like when Janelle took her hand off the key. You know? Oh man, wasn't that? No. That's still the worst. Not exactly the same because she had only been up there for like 30 seconds, but like the fact that she didn't even realize that she had done it. Type vibes.
Exactly. So that's it. I was shocked at this point. Liz won final immunity. She saved herself at this point.
I was happy for her because I did not want George to stab her in the back.
Again. Taking us back to camp now, leaving this immunity, we do hear from Liz that she wants to send George home, which I kind of needed to hear because, look, she's been used and abused by George. I mean, not horribly, but, you know, he's gone against her quite a bit. And for most of this game, I assumed she wanted to sit next to him. And I think it was only recently that she decided he needed to go. But I just needed to hear that from her for sure.
100%. And that's where I think that's probably where I really was like, man, George, that you ousting Liz so many times and making it so obvious that you're in this threesome. I'm like, don't you remember when you heard about the shiz? How that sent you in a tiz? Like you were up in arms about this insofar that you took out Shawnee. So
immediately.
You don't think that Liz might be a little bit upset about the fact that you have this threesome that does not involve her and you're blatantly parading around the fact that you have these allies. Like, I just am surprised that he didn't give Liz a little bit more credit on her powers of observation and her need for revenge.
Yeah. And I think I have to give Liz some of that credit that she played it so cool. Whereas Jerry was a bit more emotional and a little bit more hothead
that he had to like
George had to keep him happy and thought he could get away with not keeping Liz happy because she played it off so well. So I think it is a combo of like, you know, like she helped him have that blind spot, which is very interesting to see how it plays out here. But
I wish that would be really a good point to use in your final tribal.
The group chat up first here, though, is that Jerry isn't worthy. He does, you know, he'll just put all the votes on him, guys. And George is like, you know what, Jerry?
He's like, oh, yeah, sure.
I love that idea. I love that for you. What a great idea. Thanks so much for sharing. Let's all do that, guys. Shall we?
Like he was so fast. There's no like, oh, Jerry, no, like, he's like, okay, yep, fine, and like hugs him, like, if that's what you want, Jerry. Like, he didn't give him a second to want to backpedal or be talked out of it. He immediately was like, okay, yeah. Like,
Yeah.
woo!
He was like, I'm not going to let anyone jump in with a no, that's okay. He was like, yep, done. Done deal. On it. Jerry, whatever you want. Yep. That was hilarious. But I also was like, eye roll city, Jerry. Like, give me a break. I'm not.
I was a bit eye rolled. It was kind of like, wait, so you realize that, I don't know. I want someone to try and win at least, right? Like, don't be like,
Yes.
I don't want to go against any of my brothers, so I'm gonna like
Oh
fall
my
on my
God.
sword. I'm like,
The last like 2 to 3 episodes, I'm like, Jerry,
mhm.
your game is not my cup of tea. Okay. Whatever
No.
this is,
Unless you're helping someone that I like in a vote.
I'm not really enjoying this end game for him. So George and Matt are going to do a little check-in, and yeah, this is the ticket. This is how we both get to the end. So, it's sad to have to vote out our guy Jerry, but this is how we do it. Great.
He's not
A little
wrong,
check-in.
but also it's a clearer path for George to win this game.
Yeah. So then Matt and Jerry are going to check in, and Matt's like, yeah, no, I'm not doing that, Jerry. That's not going to happen. I'm writing George down, and I really appreciated how to the point Matt was. Again, Matt, this is something you did. You told Jerry you weren't doing it. You were taking out George. Anyone?
I mean, I guess he must not be an air sign. Like, I don't know why he couldn't formulate these topics of strategy.
If Matt did not write George's name down, George did not get voted out. Okay?
He can't articulate. He can't.
I don't know how this is not clear to everyone involved. Liz and George are going to also do, a fake check-in about agreeing to vote out Jerry. And I thought that it was interesting that George says, worst case, it'll go to fire.
We're not 2-2, but tied in fire. Yeah.
Yeah, against Jerry. And I thought, I don't think George is doing the math. That's not worst case.
Well, yeah, I mean, he's just assuming that he has Liz's vote. So he's not going to worst case scenario, including that she would potentially flip. So,
yeah.
I mean, if he did his confessional, it'd be like worst case scenario, Liz decides to take out her revenge on me, and I'm out of the game.
Yeah, we genuinely don't get that soundbite. I think it's interesting that they give us, George being like, I've got it. Like, these are my people. They're not lying to me. I think this is it. Sealed in the bag, like heading to final 3. And I was like, wow, is he really comfortable? Does he really think this?
I think he was comfortable. Liz made him feel comfortable.
Yeah.
Because she was just like, we got this. Like, we're doing this together till the end. Yeah. Like, you're my brother. Like, I love you for life. Like, all the right things.
Yeah. Now, we do hear Jerry tell Matt that he'll write down Matt's name. He said to Matt that he was going to write down Matt's name, which I was like, this is weird. But we obviously see that changes when we get to our votes here. So let's go into this tribal. Liz is like, hey, I had to win or I was toast. I was out.
It's true.
And Matt says he needs to be smart with this vote. Jerry is loyal. He doesn't want to do this vote.
Well, I have to say, though, George was definitely trying to make sure that Liz was voting the way that he wanted him to. He wanted her to, because he was just talking up how amazing she is and how great she is at this game. Like, I really thought he was trying to make it very difficult for her to do anything other than she had already said. So I definitely thought he was placating her there for a bit.
Right. We see Matt vote George. We see George vote Jerry. And we see Liz vote George. These are the ones we know are going to happen. It all makes sense. But when the votes actually laid out, we see 3 votes against George, only 1 for Jerry. That does mean that Jerry was able to flip over and be a part of this George vote. And Liz is going to hug George and say, I finally got ya.
She finally got ya. I was hoping though that we would see a fire. That would be the one time I would have liked to see fire, to see like, okay, Jerry, you're gonna try really hard to stay in this game, or are you just gonna bow down and just let George take the win here? I would have just liked to see how that played out, but also I think it was great for Liz to be able to. She took credit for that vote when, like you said, Matt could have taken credit for this vote, and he tries to later.
Let's boil this vote down right now.
Yeah.
Because we did not see Liz and Matt talk at all about this vote, and we don't hear about it later. So I would love to know how Liz takes credit for this vote. They needed each other. Liz and Matt both have to vote George out to even potentially make this happen. And I know that Jerry changed his vote because of Matt. I know that Jerry did not change any vote because of Liz. So Matt can take credit for getting Jerry on board for this. So I don't think either one of them can super take the credit. Therefore, both of them can take the credit. But I give more credit to Matt than I do Liz at this point, you guys.
Right. And I think like how Liz can take credit is like, she could be like, I knew that at least one vote was going to be going George's way. So I wanted to make sure that he at least had to go to fire, or if the other 2 guys were voting out George, that it would be my vote that sent him out the door. So I think that she was probably doing this based on assumptions, because we didn't see the actual conversations.
Yeah. So Liz did not convince Matt to vote out George.
No.
And I don't think Matt convinced Liz to vote out George. He convinced Jerry. So I love that Liz gave him that little message before he walked out,
to make it look like it was hers.
Yeah, make it look like it was her, and make him know that she was coming for him. Like, right? She had revenge on her mind. So I love this moment for her. But I genuinely thought Matt was rising to the top at this point. He got Shawnee out for the jury, and he made sure that George was out of the final 3. I really thought, wow, what an interesting final 3 of 2 people who have great cases to win this game. And 1 person who shall get 0 votes is how I
for sure. I was very surprised though with how lopsided the final votes were. I wasn't floored at this point. When George is gone, now I was like, and I knew the outcome. I was like, I wonder if it's going to be a 4-3 or like 5-2. Like, how were these votes going to come out? I did not think it was going to happen the way it was. It did happen, but I definitely deserved after I watched the final tribal.
So we're obviously all very sad that George is out, except that like this just makes sense, right? He had to go at this point.
They would have been 94 days without getting his torch stuffed. And he said one other stat that was crazy: the amount of tribals he's been to.
40.
That's a lot of tribal councils.
A lot of tribals. And it's a lot of days that he basically ran the game. So I know that he is probably very upset that he didn't win. I know there's a lot of people upset that he didn't win, but he's one of the greatest. Like, he had to go. Like, there's.
So if you're too good, sometimes it's almost impossible for you to win when you have, when you're not very strong, like physically strong, because those end games, sometimes you need to win a challenge sometimes to secure your place, because it's easy for people to vote you out. We learned this is why they put that final 4 tribal or fire making thing at tribal, is for the person that might have been playing the best to be able to come in or physically the best, whatever, able to be taken or still stay in the game or whatever, instead of being taken out by numbers. And so because Survivor is mostly a numbers game, and you're most likely could easily be outvoted at the end game if you can't win these final challenges. So
yeah.
George, I mean, I wish that your shoulders were a little bit stronger here and you stayed up for an extra hour. Sad, but I thought it'd be more heartbroken, but it could be because I knew in advance, so I went in braced.
And you get it. Like, this is the game move. You have to take out the strongest player at this point. I thought it was interesting that, I mean, I knew in my head that these were 3 newbies.
Mm-hmm.
They got out the last returner, but I didn't realize the whole jury was all returning players. They mentioned that here at the top of day 47, our next.
Oh, I didn't even realize it was all. I don't even think I heard that part. Interesting.
So the jury is all returning players voting out of, between 3 newbies is really an interesting dynamic.
Well, I think that's actually great, because like we always expect a returnee to win on a season that they come on playing with newbies. And so it's really nice to see that change, like it's not usual. So I thought that was great.
Yeah, and the way that they were taking out all the newbies in the beginning, leaving us with all of these returnees and jury, I thought obviously it's going to be a returnee that wins, but that is not what happened here. So let's go to this final tribal where I think we have 2 people with solid cases to win, and it is now just how do they lay out their case here? They say that it's 2 heroes and 1 villain, but I think of all 3 of them as villains. I think 3 villains made it to the end, but they're not OG.
Yeah, not OG villains. Yeah, they definitely became villainous to get to the end game for sure. They definitely changed. They turned. I do still think of them as, because like I don't feel, maybe Jerry is a little bit more villainous now, but I don't feel like Matt is a villain to me because he didn't do any snaky villainous kind of moves in the game. Like, yes, he did turn. Yes, he used the vigilante's name and stealing it from Nina, but I felt it was just still like kind of soft. So I think that Liz is still an OG villain, and I think she takes the villain credit here. Did you think that Georgie looks like Freddie Mercury?
Yes.
I was like,
George is amazing. Exactly
like Freddie Mercury.
Love the purple vest, popped, zipped, whatever, hair, mustache, like what was happening. Amazing. Love it so much. All right, let's break down this final tribal a little bit differently. So Jerry, I don't think deserves any votes. I don't think you think he deserves many votes. But did you see them trashing his social game coming? Did you see that coming?
I guess they didn't show how much he was not getting along with people. We got maybe hints of it when Nina was kind of came for Jerry, and hints of it when Liz was like, Jerry, like, so maybe there's more times where Jerry kind of was abrasive in this way, and this was the first time that people were shown to voice their maybe not dislike, but they're kind of about Jerry. I was surprised though. Yes.
I was like, okay, I know that Jerry's strategy is poo, and I don't really even understand what his goal was here. Was he even trying to win? I don't know, other than get rid of all of the heroes, which he does say, like, hey, you guys turned on me and I wanted to get you all out, and we did. He partnered with George to get them all out. But the way that Sean was like, sir, do you know my hobbies? And Jerry was like, nope. And I'm not going to apologize for that. I was like, oh, buddy.
I know. He's like, I am who I am, and I'm not going to apologize for it. Like, people are like, so is there anything in this game that you would regret or like to change? Like, no, everything I did it. And I'm not going to apologize for it. And I was like, man, this is, they're giving you the opportunity to
they're like,
apologize.
Please. Haley was like, self-awareness is important. I was like, oh, keywords there, Jerry, like no self-awareness whatsoever. And the fact that he's not even willing to just phrase that a little differently, like, I understand
Just be
maybe you
like,
don't want to apologize for who you are, but say something like, that wasn't my intention. I'm sorry to hear that.
absolutely. Just being like, Sean, I did enjoy getting to know you in the terms of the game. And like I didn't realize that, you didn't feel as that I was as engaged with you as you would have liked, but I really still liked who you are and whatever. Hopefully we have a friendship outside of something.
Yeah, something.
Something.
Something. Sorry, we fell on different sides of the game,
Yeah.
whatever.
We
But
weren't playing together. I'm sorry.
the fact that he couldn't claim anything strategy, he was not self-aware, and he couldn't even claim a social game. I was like, ouch, buddy, ouch.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, both him and Matt were really bad at this final tribal.
Okay, so let's now talk about Matt. Look, George's question was really great because he's like, look, we all work together, guys. So tell me what you did that wasn't just, my
Me.
idea. And literally, Matt needed to say and could have honestly said, we had our 3. And then within that, Jerry and I made a final 2 on day whatever.
I'm
That
just
was
being
a
like, and our
while
intention
ago.
was to get rid of George at the final 3, whatever.
Exactly. We knew we wanted to take George to the end and then cut him at the last minute. And to prove that forethought, I orchestrated the Shawnee vote out of the jury because once we knew it was a final 3, we had to cut him, meaning we'd have Liz here, we blah, 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 blah. Oh my God. And of course, the fact that, like, great, Liz, yeah, you did vote George out and you clearly wanted to, but we also knew that we had to vote him out as we did.
Mm-hmm.
You did not convince us to do that. That was already in our head. Like, these are things he could have said.
I was surprised that he was stumbling over things. Like, just like, can he kind of make it up? Like, you didn't think that this could have potentially be a question that people would ask you? Like, you've seen how people are like not really respecting Jerry claiming that him and George were in lockstep and made decisions together. Like, nobody really believed that. So you're gonna have to say something. But this could be maybe because they were all newbies in the final here, that like they just didn't know how to just explain their game. Well, I thought Liz did a great job, but I mean, Matt definitely did not know how to explain his game or explain things that happened in this game and make it look like it was his move.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, we'll talk about it a little bit more, of course, but Liz is saying that like the whole getting George to compromise with that flick vote, I could put like punch holes in that and being like, but like you saw that it was the wrong thing to do, right? So like you strong arguing him in this situation, you know what I mean? Like, but she was able to sell that, and it looked like, ooh, wow, like Flick looks over, it's like, oh, she did that. Is that true? And George is like, yes, that is true. And so there were other times where he could have used situations like that, like to help him. I don't know why he just couldn't make something up.
Yeah, he's hungry. They did just eat that one day, but maybe he's tired. I don't know what happened here, but he lacks I mean, this is why we say people like lawyers, salesmen are really good at this type
Final
of
tribals,
game. Yeah, final tribals, because they can just spin.
I mean, I love a good spinner. It's true.
Right? It's a skill set, and clearly Liz has it a little bit because she'll take like a little nugget, which is true. She wanted revenge, and she can name these reasons for revenge. But then she's like, "So I got you out." When I feel like George could do the math, Haley could do the math. Like, how did you get me out? Is how I would question that back. But it doesn't matter because she says it with such confidence.
Absolutely. And then even when Matt was trying to rebut her and be like, well, no, I did that. And she's like, actually, no, I did that.
She was like, no. And like, that's fine. They should disagree. They should say, yeah, like, your one vote was helpful, but Jerry, I got Jerry on board to do this. This was our final 2 plan. La, la, la. Like, keep going, Matt. Twist it. Say something. But the way she took ownership of stuff was just impressive.
Did you notice at one point there was like a commercial break, I think, and like the psycho music kind of sound was playing like that. like in between us, like, ooh, are people going to be stabbed in the back? Is that what's going to be happening in the shower?
Yeah.
It
Yeah.
was
They
a
are getting
nice moment.
those two dudes are getting stabbed by Liz
Yes,
left and right. She ate them
Slade.
alive. Like, she made it sound like she was running George at times. She made it sound like uh she was doing way more. It was really an impressive final tribal from her, and I think it really pumped people up to vote for her. Like, they
Yeah.
got excited.
They wanted to vote for Liz. That was
Yeah.
what she really did. She made
Mhm.
them feel like they wanted, like, I think it was good when she put together, like when she said like all the different alliances that were named that she was a part of, and that
Yeah.
she would also claims that she made connections with people. So, and when, even though she voted them out, they don't dislike her, they don't hate her for the things, the
Mhm.
moves that she made, like how she showed her game. Maybe sitting next to George might have been able to
Exactly.
prove his game was a little bit better than hers. That may have been more challenging for her to win. But
Sure.
with this dynamic, like she's I was sold. I was like, yeah, you 100% deserve to win this game. Sitting next to those two people, I don't even know why they are there. Like, you are the clear winner, Liz. Like, clear winner. Just how she articulated her game was enough for me.
Yeah, I mean, I was really torn. This was a tough final for me because I was feeling what you were feeling of like, wow, she sounds like a clear queen of the game and winner, but I don't believe everything that she's saying. And I know that part of this credit can go to Matt, and he's not saying it. So I was really frustrated for Matt, but ultimately, like, she got a unanimous win. Like, that's insane.
Insane. A final three, that's insane that there's no split, like, at all.
Yeah.
And like Matt, as you said, could have claimed the exact same things that Liz claimed. He
Yeah.
just couldn't articulate them at
He
all.
couldn't.
He
Mm-mm.
could even have probably said, the fact that he decided to stick with his new group of people, or the fact that he was the one that George wanted to fight so hard because he was that important to George's game. Like, he could have just tried to spin those
Yeah.
elements, because
Yeah.
he got to the end because he was important to George, and be like, I
Mhm.
made myself important to George. I made myself be somebody that George wanted to see in this game. And
Mhm.
like, maybe spin it that way a little bit, that could have helped them be like, yeah, like, if he's aware of the fact that he was doing that purposefully, I could maybe give him some credit for that. But
Yeah.
he didn't say anything like that, so it didn't look like he was purposeful in any of his decisions. So it discredited everything. And then I just loved all the things that people said when they went up to the voting booth for Liz. Like, they gave her such praise. I do feel that she really encompass hero and villain. When she say, like, I am a hero wearing a sparkly glitter purple cape, and I was
Yeah.
like, oh, she is.
Yeah, I think she was like a motivational speaker, like, right? Like, she came in and she was like, "I did these things and I was pissed off about this, so I wanted to make this happen, and I rose to the top, and I blah blah blah, and I won this challenge." Like, she definitely won the final challenge to get her there and save her butt. That does not equal getting George out, but she saved her butt to get there. I think that is something you absolutely,
Mhm.
shout to the rooftops and say, "I did this." And it was like, she was like pumping them up for the vote. She was like, "And I deserve the vote." And they
Yeah.
were like, "Yes, you do." And they like
Well, it's kind
went
of
to
like
the
how
voting booth.
Kevin did in the finale of Big Brother Canada last season. Like, he was getting them pumped about like this game and wanting to vote for him. And I think that that's something that we have to remember, is like getting the jury or jurors on your side, getting them part of your vision, allowing them to see what you're doing and to see it through your eyes, and making them want to be the winner, and like,
Yeah,
she really did a good job doing that. So I'm gonna
she sure
remember that
did.
if I ever have a final
Oh my
final
gosh.
jury vote, to like get them pumped and on my side.
Get them pumped and just do the spin. Take the littlest thing you did and make it seem like the game winning move. Like, take ownership of things you didn't do, whatever. Like, do it all. And yeah, it was fascinating.
Loved it.
E
I enjoyed it.
Even when when she was talking about that flick thing that you were like, don't bring that up. But if I were Matt or honestly Jerry, I'd be like, I decided who went home yeah, Flick did that, but like Jerry decided who went home that night. Remember, George asked Jerry who he wanted to keep. They could have claimed that on top of what she said. So like, I mean, I know that they're tired and hungry and don't know everybody else's moves. So maybe it's hard for you to articulate like what you did because you don't understand what other people did.
Matt did not think of what to say to the jury.
I can't believe the whole Shawnee thing wasn't like, I can't believe that wasn't brought up. I mean, the edit shows us him just going, which we know it didn't happen. We know he said, and then he said something, and they just didn't show it to us because he wasn't going to get any votes. So I would have liked to have heard a little bit more from him. But
maybe we wouldn't have.
They didn't even show us.
They're just like, you know what? They're like, better left unsaid.
Yeah. Like, don't worry about it. It doesn't matter. So congratulations, Liz, Shawnee's protege. Congratulations to Shawnee.
You know, I have to say, and I might have mentioned this chatting with you, that I had posted once like on an Instagram story or a reel or something. It's had the many faces of Liz, and it's like, which Liz are you right now? And so I'd posted that, and she had liked it and gave some like emojis. Yeah. And when she did that, I was like, this is like winner. Yeah, it's winner like vibes to me. And I don't know if I said it to you, but I've said it out loud somewhere.
You did.
And I was like, I got it. I was right here.
Yeah.
So yeah, I felt that vibe. And I'm going to reach out. So maybe we can have like an after season breakdown with her. I'm going to reach out to her.
Oh my gosh. That would be amazing. Well, let's look at the points. Guess who wins?
Who, me?
Yeah, you had the Taurus. I said, I'm not getting a Taurus.
Yes, you were anti-Taurus.
I was like, you can have them. They don't know how to adapt. They don't know how to, try new things. And she did. Like she even mentioned in her final, like something about sticking with a plan or follow through. And I was like, that's true. That is a strength of yours. But she actually did adapt fairly well.
Yes. And I think that she probably learned that from Shawnee, because who's another Taurus that's played the game a few times before. And so that could also be what she learned from her is like, yeah, we're stubborn, but sometimes you got to be a bit malleable in this particular game. It does not serve you to be too bullish. So
yeah. Yeah. Haley's voting confessional was queen stuff. Like she's just amazing.
As Antonio says.
A chef's kiss. Yeah, you finished this with 209 points to my 159 points.
Oh shit. I'm sorry.
I did not do well.
I'm sorry.
Look, I got 2 of the final 3. Matt and Jerry were my last 2. George and Liz were your last 2. But you had the winner. You did pretty well. And she got all the votes. So I didn't even get like points for any votes. If Matt had gotten some votes, I would have gotten some points, but it doesn't matter.
Sorry. I felt strong about my team for the whole season. Like I felt good about that.
Yeah, you did. As soon as the game started, I was like, oh gosh.
Oh, can we look at Liz's card again? I can't remember what she got.
Yes, give me 1 second to say congratulations, Carolyn, who's not here because I forgot to tell her that it was on my channel at this time. I'm so sorry about that, Carolyn. But you had the winner pick as well with Liz and won the patron Discord draft with 77 points. Right behind you was Amy with 65 points, who had no remaining players for a long time. That's really impressive that you stuck with second place there. Christy came in third with 63 points, who also didn't have any people at the end. How did that happen? And then Ellen with 62 points and Milo with 53 points. Shafika with 48 points, even though you had Jerry there at the final 3. Doesn't look like that paid off too well with points. Let's see what
We did
the
talk about it, but I don't
final
remember what they were now.
cards were. Let's go to the cards. Liz. Oh, where do I have the cards?
Was it the Ace of Swords?
Yep. 5 of Pentacles and Ace of Swords.
I would never put that combination together. But okay, listen.
No.
Okay, let me think about how this could be a winning combination. So the 5 of Pentacles is like being able to see, like, you're on the outside, but being able to see the light inside the church. So it's being able to see that there is potential help. And Ace of Swords is like to be or not to be, where your like word is final. So maybe it's talking about how she was able to see the light at the end of the time, like the light inside the church, the help that she need, and use her words to be able to make that final speech. This is me trying to spin it right now. I don't know.
Sounds good. I mean, I think you and I both know we would never say Ace of Swords is a winning card, but
Maybe the combo though.
We did say that the final 3 all had ace. Mm-hmm. So let me make sure what we have here. Matt had a Page of Swords.
Oh, right. We're thinking about that as a new beginning type thing.
6 of Pentacles. That Page of Swords did not know how to say his case. That
maybe
page did not figure it out.
A novice, too much of an amateur.
Jerry was the Ace of Wands and the 10 of Pentacles reversed, though.
Right. So that's like you lose the game for sure.
You straight lost that.
Ace of Wands, maybe having too much fire, too much passion. Well, Ace of Wands, we've had it before as a going out first, but this could be going out first out of like the final 3.
Right.
Well, definitely Jerry, I could see that being a final 3 losing finalist card combination.
Oh yeah, for sure. George had the Ace of Pentacles and the King of Wands reversed.
Yeah, they look like the King of Wands. He got slayed for sure. And Ace of Pentacles, was it?
Yeah.
Yeah. He won money though.
He did. He won that.
So that could be the Ace of Pentacles, and then
the Ace of Swords stabbed the Ace of Pentacles with her sword. That was Liz. Mm-hmm. She stabbed him with her sword and won.
I would say that she definitely has, they all got to the final 4 with aces. So that's interesting. Or like, and the Page, which is considered kind of like an ace. I still don't think it's a winning combo, but I'm going to speculate on it a little bit and see if I can really figure out how the Ace of Swords being though a new thought, a beginning, a new thought.
Tell you what, she put those thoughts together really well. I don't know.
Even though she was on the outside, because like that card of the 5 of Pentacles is those 2 people trudging in the snow. Maybe like she thought that she was on the outside, but she was able to rein that in and overcome, right? Like she nearly went home.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, she was a newbie, but boy, did she use her words to win.
Yep.
Carolyn, I'm so sorry that you missed the bulk of the stream, but I just announced that you won the patron draft. So congratulations to you. You had Liz. That really helped you a lot. And she won some challenges. She was a good points earner. Actually, she was the largest point earner. She earned more points than any other player.
Get it, Liz.
All righty. Interesting to look back at those cards for sure. Your Survivor 44 cards are really, really fun that you're releasing as they get voted out.
Yes. I mean, so far they've been pretty, they're making sense so far. It's kind of fun.
And Christy, you came in 3rd place. Christy just got here as well. 3rd place. Congratulations to you as well. Good job, everybody. What a season. Even though I had mixed feelings on this final, Did
you only not like the final though because Matt didn't speak well and articulate his game?
Yeah. Yeah,
Okay, go ahead.
I just like felt for him, but that takes nothing away from Liz. Liz rocked that, and I'm very happy for her win. But I was just like, wait, what? What's happening right now?
You thought it was gonna be
Um,
more of like a battle, and instead
yeah,
it was a slaughter. Mhm.
yeah, I was expecting two great pitches and a close vote. But take that unanimous win. Take
Yes,
it.
that's hard to do.
That
Get it.
is. It's amazing. This was one of the best seasons across the board.
I think for me, I think it's that I've ever seen. I think for the fact that obviously I love strategy and like it was very, very strategy forward. Um, and it was with people that I like watching their games and watching how their mind works and like how things happen. Like I was surprised so many times with
Mhm.
the way that people were going about the game. I was like, oh my god, this is so. It was just so electric a lot of the time, and so I felt really re-inspired with my passion for Survivor because like as much as I enjoy US Survivor and I'll always watch it. I've watched it since day
Mhm.
one. Right now it doesn't seem that like gritty and cutthroat and strategy focused and like it just seems a little bit more like light fluffy fun game that people are playing. So I just really loved how much I was into the strategy and just watching this game. Like I got my mom hooked on it already because like I told her and she's like, oh, I haven't watched yet, and I told her to watch it. She's like, I stayed up all night. I didn't stop watching. It was 6 a.m. and I'm on episode 10 now. And it's it's like it's that good that it just is just bringing in people to just enjoy watching this kind of gameplay. And so I don't know. I really love the season. And I don't know
Yeah.
if there's going to be a season that's going to be able to touch it soon. Like I can't
Right.
imagine.
I can't imagine. It really it's really so good. I mean, what's the one that George and Haley were on? That was
Brains versus
Brains.
Brawn.
I mean, that was really a great season as well, but this was phenomenal. So, thank you, Australian Survivor. Well
Thank you.
done. You didn't even over twist it. They do love a twist, and they gave us a plenty. But I don't think they did overboard, especially with the
The
end
three
game.
twists that they had, like obviously we missed out on the Haley blindside. We
But
missed out on
thank
this.
goodness.
Yeah, no,
Come
I mean
on.
I'm fine with it. Like I would have loved that moment,
Yeah.
but I'm fine with it just with the way the rest of the season played out. We missed Simon getting voted out, and we missed a Nina getting voted out. Right, those are the three. Right,
Yeah.
and
Yeah,
potentially
I
Liz
mean,
getting voted out actually,
oh, no, this wasn't
because
gonna get voted out, was
you think
when?
with if it was an actual
Oh, because she
immunity
won?
necklace
Oh,
when
oh.
he won the extra vote thing,
Yeah, right, if they had
she
gone
might
to
have
it too.
gone out then.
Yeah. Actually, that's interesting to think about because they went to a final 3 to save George, to give him a better shot, but because they made that twist, he actually went out. So let's say it was immunity, Matt won,
I think that
Liz left,
mhm.
maybe we would have seen George at the final 2, I don't know.
There would have been a final oh, right, there would have been a final 2. Uh, Matt would have outlasted George in that final thing, so it would have been a Matt win.
And he still would have taken Jerry, not George.
Yeah.
So then maybe Matt could have maybe said something about his game.
I mean, he wouldn't have anybody to, like, compare it to, right? He'd
Yeah,
be
he
like,
would have said, "I
uh
took out George." Yeah,
yeah.
yeah. Well, that would have been interesting.
Well, I like this winner
Yeah,
way better. So,
and don't we feel like this is a little bit of revenge for Shawnee, right?
absolutely. Shawnee's gonna be I mean, she if Shawnee couldn't win, she wanted Liz to win, and so
Exactly.
if this is the path that it was gonna take for Liz to win, like, I think Shawnee's gonna be okay with it.
Yeah. I really was sad that she wasn't there to celebrate with Liz.
Yes, somebody in the chat was saying something that I was thinking. I'm like, I wish that they had brought Shawnee in just for the reveal of the winner at
Yeah,
least.
I agreed. I was like, they don't have her sitting on the side, but they probably literally made her leave.
And she's like, "Do I go now?" Like,
Yeah, let her
I'm
come
outta
in and
here."
see her bestie.
Yeah, that would have been
I
nice
don't
with
follow
their loved
them.
ones and the family visit. Yeah.
Yeah. Did Are they friends still? Like, are we
I
seeing them on
haven't
social media
seen
together?
anything yet because obviously I just actually watched it because like once I got spoiled, I was like,
Yeah,
oh, like
right.
I don't want to like I want to watch, of course, but like it wasn't as pressing anymore, and so I was like, "Ugh." And so I just watched it before I came live with you. So I haven't looked around at that much stuff yet. I saw a couple of like group interview, like or like first an interview with Liz as the winner on one of their news channels. And one thing that she said, and it was very Taurus, it made me think of
Mhm.
you, was that when she got out, she was at a hotel and she just ordered one of everything on the menu and had one bite of everything
Of
and then
course
felt
she
really
did.
sick.
Of course she did. She was living her luxurious life as soon as she got out, I'm
Yeah,
sure.
she said she showered like 4 times because she just couldn't get clean enough,
Yeah,
and
I
she
bet.
ate a little bit of everything.
Good. I'm so glad. I mean, I have to imagine they're gonna be very close forever,
Yeah,
but
she said also George and her are really close.
good.
George's like a brother to her, like, she loves him. She thinks he's super special, like, yeah, she's super
Are
loves him.
Jerry and George still besties? Like,
Haven't seen that yet
did
necessarily.
George legitimately like made all of these friends? Like, they all love him.
I would love George too, though. If you
Of
wouldn't?
course. I mean, especially if you're that close of an ally and you really work with him to the end. Like, I don't think you can't just not be friends,
No.
right?
No,
Yeah.
I don't think so. I'd be
Agreed. Agreed. Well, we will always watch Australian Survivor. Like, I'm sorry, I'm into it. It's
so
happening.
good.
Yeah.
So good. And like, yes, it was long, and yes, I'm happy that it's come to a conclusion. But like, I'm gonna miss like how into it I was.
Yeah, we've mentioned this already, but like we never got that lull of like, why is it still going? Like, why is
No,
it still
I'm like,
on? It
what is
didn't
going
feel
to
long.
happen? This is
Yeah.
wild. Like,
Yeah.
can it has to. And we were always like, it
Oh,
has to
Flick got
fall off.
married. Congrats, Flick. Good.
I did see that. That was a little while ago, I
Oh,
believe. So
okay.
people at the wedding. I didn't see anybody from this season at the wedding, so I feel like it was a little while
Oh,
ago. I'm not sure actually, but
okay.
I feel like it was people from her first season that were at the wedding. So like,
Mm.
what was that woman's name? The brunette woman, Braun.
Mm,
You're like,
I
I
don't know
have
names.
no idea.
I do not remember names. No. Mm-mm. You're lucky I remember yours, Chantel.
How dare you?
How
But
dare me? I
but
would
it's really interesting
never.
though. It's like I don't always remember names, but I remember people's signs
Well, that's
or
great.
birth dates. Like I just be
That's
like, oh right, I
amazing.
remember you. You're a
That's amazing. You're like, I don't know your name, but you're a Capricorn?
yeah. A friend of mine I hadn't seen for like maybe 10 years, but we were really close 20 years ago. And he came by the restaurant last weekend because he knows my best friend and her fiance. And so he was there and like we started talking about it. I'm like, oh yeah, your brother's February 19th, right? And you were at March. And I'm like, and he's like, whoa, you remember that? I'm like, I don't know. It's a gift.
That's
It's my parlor trick.
that's wild. We are who we are. All right, you guys. That's it. That's our Australian Survivor experience summary season. We did it.
We did it.
Chantele and I are still doing ratings for Survivor US 44. So join us for that. You are also covering the challenge and other things.
The challenge, I think, is it right now, right? Oh, and Survivor. I'm behind a week on Survivor though, so I'll probably do a double episode with JoJo either tomorrow or sometime soon. But yeah, the challenge I go usually live after the episode, even though it's now on a streaming site. So we've been
Yeah.
doing like around 5 p.m. and sometimes 7. Like it's kind of hard when it's streamed like that because we're trying to avoid spoilers. But so yeah, we usually go live on the Wednesday though, and then I usually do on Fridays go live on my channel with Drew from the Angel Cake Entertainment channel, and we talk about our power rankings for the season. So
Great. Well, everyone, I'm sure you're already subscribed, but if not, to Reality Realness with 3 S's and Nerdtainment. Thank you guys for being in the chat. We really appreciate you spending the season with us. And if you are joining us later, please leave a comment. Let us know how you feel about the winner. How'd you feel about George leaving? Didn't make it to the final 3.
he's really
And
gracious about it.
what happened to Matt?
Yeah.
Is he okay? Have we checked on him? Is he okay? I'm sure he's okay. All right, you guys, we'll see you next time. Bye.